Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here today with Volkmar the Grim in the desert on his chariot. We've even brought the Luminarch of Hysh just for extra light and firepower, literally. We've also got a Bright Wizard here, Warrior Priest, of course, with the Banner of Eternal Flame there, supporting some Empire Knights. We've also got more Empire Knights on each flank. Plenty of state troops, of course. Bright Wizard here, he's got Cascading Fire Cloak, Burning Head, and Flame Storm. Been having a lot of fun with Flame Storm lately. And of course, wouldn't be one of my Empire builds without some Pistoliers, so we've got 4 of them. Or maybe just 2? I thought we had 4. Nope, just 2. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Skaven. We've got Plague Claw, Catapult, Clan Rats with Spears and Shields. We've got a couple Storm Vermin in the center, Sword and Board. I really like Sword and Board Storm Vermin right now. Another Halberd as well, a couple of Rat Ogres for some high mass, Gutter Runners with Poison. We've got Skaven Slaves up front, and some Skaven Slave Slingers in the back. A single unit of Plague Monk Censer Bearers with Lord Skrolk leading the way, so let's get it straight underway, and you already know what's going to happen. As soon as Lord Skrolk comes into range, we're going to train that Luminarch straight on him here. So let's just go for a ride-along, shall we, with the Storm Vermin here, and watch as the Luminarch charges up its shot. And it's going to boom, just straight through the formation there. Actually takes out a Rat Ogre, knocks down Lord Skrolk, kills a few of the Storm Vermin as well. So yeah, bringing the Luminarch against the Skaven can definitely be extremely risky just because it's very vulnerable to getting counter artillery fired by Warp Lightning Cannons. They're very cost efficient, can take it out very, very quickly. You can see the Pistoliers operating over on this flank. I'm trying to compromise the Catapult if I can. Skrolk is just getting pounded by that Luminarch, so already not in the best place. Empire Knights charging straight in the front line here with the support of the Warrior Priest. We're just trying to break through as quickly as possible. You can see Storm Vermin and, yeah, I believe Storm Vermin and Skaven Slaves here in the front line. Rat Ogre's not quite charging in yet, but over on the other flank, more Clan Rats being collapsed by the Empire Knights here. Skrolk's being finished off by the Luminarch as we speak, and Volkmar charging towards the front line here to start to lay down some buffs. A Rival Hide Talisman from the Skaven, very nicely played there. That Warrior Priest is getting taken out, but I wanted to do some spell crafting, so we're going to do go ahead and do a Banishment and Flamestorm right on top of each other. Just absolutely wreck these 2 units of Skaven. Yeah, and then I dropped the Grand Soulfire here, thinking, you know, it'll give me that magic resistance to protect. Unfortunately, I dropped it a little bit early, and you can see this is going to come basically delete this entire unit of Empire State Troop Swordsmen as well. It also does a ton of damage to those Empire Knights, routes off the Warrior Priest there, and does not actually hit these Storm Vermin or the Censer Bearers at all. So you win some, you lose some with these Vortex spells, and that's why I bring them. Against the Skaven, they definitely can be effective. Arguable, I should have waited and cast it in this big blob. Could have killed 2 high-value units instead of just 1, but still. I don't mind shooting Danger Close with the Luminarch onto Volkmar here because he has heavy magic and missile resistance and regeneration. He can take those shots even without the ward save active, which it is currently. But yeah, 40% magic with 55% missile, both of which apply to the Luminarch, of course. So if it does accidentally hit him, it's not going to do that much damage, but trying to take down the Assassin now at this point. Ooh, he just gets blasted there, taken right off the screen, does more than half his health in damage there. You can see Empire Knights over here, though, being dragged down by Rat Ogres, Storm Vermin, being very cost-effective. Pistoliers able to just kind of chill up here on the hill, fire from the side into the said Rat Ogres. Meanwhile, we got a massive break over on the other side, chasing down a ton of routing units, and these Empire Knights coming up and around the flank, going to try and get in on those Skaven Slave Slingers. Looks like we dropped a Burning Head there in the front line as well. I say front line. This front line engagement's pretty much done. A lot of my units got routed off there. The Storm Vermin push straight through. Thankfully, the Warrior Priest was able to rally and interrupt them. The Jade Wizard's going to go ahead and rear charge here. These Empire Knights, we're going to give them Cascading Fire Cloak just to proc that Kindle Flame for the Luminarch, since it does fire damage. And, of course, the Warrior Priest will also give all of these guys fire damage as well, so we get a bit of a damage boost. Plus, of course, gives them better melee defense and weapon damage and everything, so don't quite finish off the Storm Vermin, unfortunately. But here comes Volkmar to provide a nice terror route, hopefully see them off the field. It's mostly just this one unit of Halberds that's still healthy. Rat Ogres trying to defend desperately this Plague Claw Catapult here. Fortunately, Spearmen with Shields actually will trade pretty effectively here, and you already know we're going to just bust out swords and take advantage of that increased charge bonus on these Pistoliers, charge straight in, and, you know, get these little arming swords out, start to cut up those Rat Ogres quite effectively. So yeah, at this point, Skaven are not too far from army losses. Empire Knights also charge in and finish off the crew here. And that's pretty much going to be GG. So nice quick Empire victory. Fun battle. Well played my opponent. Apologies for the extreme Lord sniping. But again, a bit of a risk-reward take in this particular matchup because the Skaven do have some pretty good counterplay to the Luminarch. That's why I had Volkmar parked right next to it at the start, so that just in case I was facing like 4 Warp Lightning Cannons or something that just immediately tried to focus it down, I could pop that magic resistance and try and get out of dodge before we got blown up. Definitely a very risky pick, but ended up working out here because my opponent didn't bring any Warp Lightning Cannons at all, which Plague Claw Catapult's not terrible here. I'm not the biggest fan of the catapults in most matchups. They are good in a couple matchups, but personally I much prefer the Warp Lightning Cannons here. I think you can actually take maybe 2 or 3 in this matchup and really kind of counter Empire Heavy Cavalry. You can counter, you know, a lot of their heavy hitting units with that Warp Lightning Cannon, so definitely would recommend. Although this build for my opponent, not too bad, honestly. The Storm Vermin Sword and Board, pretty solid. They kind of got run over a little bit there and just spelled into oblivion. But Censer Bearers, I'm not the biggest fan of. These guys, low armor, bit of a glass cannon unit. They tend to take a lot of shock damage. Rat Ogres definitely did pretty decently, though. Skaven Slaves, hard to argue with them. And yeah, Storm Vermin Halberds, like that pick quite a bit as well. Honestly, I'd probably just cut these Censer Bears. Well, let's get to that in just a minute. For my build, Empire Knights, a couple of them got taken down. They did some okay kills, but 139 here, that's pretty solid overall. Empire State Troops did mixed results, but overall, you know, pretty decent, all things considered. 95 kills for the Bright Wizard as well from that Flame Storm. So, yeah, bit of a risk reward there. Ended up deleting a bunch of my own units. But anyway, let's go over to the Skaven and just have a quick discussion about this particular matchup. Skaven in a little bit of a rough place right now, but I actually think that Tretch might have a place in this matchup because he's a little bit harder to goon by air units. He's got charge defense against large, good melee defense, and he also has this stay here, all get help, which gives him stock and unspottable. Only works 3 times and does have a relatively long cooldown, but in that type of a situation where the Luminarch's immediately going to try and open up shots on you, as soon as you come into range you can pop that. It lasts a pretty good amount of time as well, 31 seconds, so you can run him forward while that's going, and you're not going to be Lord sniped quite so heavily. So yeah, he's also got the lucky Skull Helm, so that in case he gets, again, gooned by an Air Lord, he'll get a bit more defensive stats. Actually quite like Tretch in this matchup. For a caster, Warlock Engineer is pretty solid here as well. I'm going to go ahead and just bring Howling Warp Gale, maybe. Death Frenzy's tempting. It's honestly not that much Winds of Magic, and if you overcast it, does give an area of effect. Might not be bad for taking down something like, you know, like a Griffin or something, but just to make him nice and cheap, we're gonna cut that and just bring the 2 cheapest. We might actually leave the Musketeer on as well because we're going to be spamming those cheap spells. Give that map wide minus 13 melee attack for 8 seconds. Pretty solid. Warp Stone Armor, potentially. We're also going to grab an Assassin here just for the trophy heads mostly. And then, yeah, a couple Sword and Board Storm Vermin with the Halberd. I'm going to grab 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, a couple Rat Ogres, and a Doom Wheel as well. And, oh man, this is actually pretty expensive, but we are going to need some Clan Rats here, definitely. I have enough for 1 upgrade. This feels a little bit light, so I'd probably cut things down. Honestly, with Tretch being a little bit harder to goon, I might just cut the Assassin, try and get damage out of these other units here. Let's see. That would allow us to potentially go a little bit wider here with just some more Clan Rat Spears and... yeah, maybe even just flood the board with some slaves as well, something like this. Again, just kind of spitballing here. Actually, I haven't been playing Skaven too much recently just because they tend to struggle in a lot of matchups. I mean, it's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, but it is certainly rough. But if you're finding you're having trouble getting Lord sniped in some matchups, try out Tretch. And a lot of people have kind of forgotten about him, but he's relatively cheap and he's hard to goon, comparatively speaking, to all the Skaven Lords. So definitely give him a go. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this nice quick one. I'm going to be out of town, I believe the day that this is actually going up. I'm going to be out of town the weekend of like the 23rd to the 25th, something like that. So these are all pre-recorded, but I believe I'm going to have enough time to get content for you guys so that you won't miss anything while I'm gone. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz. And again, we'll see you next time.